Welcome to the Coins Quest, where today we dive deep into one of the most astonishing discoveries in modern coin collecting history, the 1998 Mint Mark P $2 USA coin, a coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike with its unbelievable value of $7 million, not because of its age or metal composition, but because of the remarkable and rare errors and minting mistakes that have turned an ordinary-looking piece of change into a record-breaking treasure, hidden for years in everyday circulation, waiting for a keen eye to uncover its mystery and fortune. The story of this 1998 P. Washington quarter begins in the Philadelphia Mint, where millions of quarters were struck, yet only a few were created with the kind of extraordinary and rare minting flaws that would make them worth more than gold. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that could pay for a mansion, a luxury car, or even change your entire life, all because of a tiny, nearly invisible imperfection caused by a split-second mechanical error during the minting process. The 1998 P quarter is such a coin, and the errors found on it have fascinated numismatists for decades, leading to fierce debates, professional grading submissions, and auction bidding wars that have pushed its price into the multi-million-dollar range. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we must look closely at the specific details of its errors, because every flaw tells a story, and every story reveals how a piece of metal worth 25 cents could become a $7 million legend. Many examples of this coin display a double die obverse, meaning that during the striking process, the die shifted slightly between impressions, creating a ghostly doubling effect on George Washington's face, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the word, "Liberty." This doubling is not just a visual quirk, it's a tangible record of minting imperfection, and collectors know that such doubling, when dramatic and clear, can multiply a coin's value exponentially. But that's just the beginning. Some rare 1998 P quarters show what experts describe as a broad strike error, where the coin was struck outside the collar, causing its rim to spread and distort slightly, giving it a unique oval-like shape that stands out immediately to trained eyes. Others show striking misalignments where the obverse and reverse designs don't perfectly align. Washington's portrait is shifted just enough that it gives the coin a surreal, off-center appearance, a minting blunder that dramatically increases rarity and collector appeal. Even more fascinating are examples found with die cracks, small raised lines running across the coin's surface caused by aging or damaged dies. These lines, sometimes forming through Washington's hair, the word, "Liberty," or the eagle on the reverse, make each piece a one-of-a-kind error, no two exactly alike, and when such cracks intersect with doubling or off-center strikes, the result is an error combination so rare it's almost impossible to replicate. Imagine a collector discovering a 1998 P quarter in pocket change, noticing an odd doubling around the letters, submitting it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC, and finding out that what they thought was a minor minting defect was actually a top-tier, documented mint error worth millions. That's the power of rarity, the magic of minting mistakes, and the thrill that drives collectors to search through rolls of coins, hoping for that one moment of discovery. Another extraordinary characteristic of the 1998 P quarter that has contributed to its multimillion-dollar value is the presence of an experimental planchet composition. Some experts believe a few quarters were accidentally struck on planchets intended for foreign coins or commemorative editions, resulting in a slightly lighter or darker metal tone. A difference that only laboratory testing could confirm but which collectors have eagerly speculated about for years. Add to that the variations in luster, strike pressure, and die rotation, and you have a combination of factors so complex and unique that it blurs the line between accident and artistry. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion quarters that year, yet the ones bearing these remarkable anomalies might number fewer than a dozen, a microscopic fraction of the total mintage, making them far rarer than even the most celebrated key-date coins in U.S. history. What makes the story even more captivating is that many of these coins circulated unnoticed for years, tucked away in cash registers, vending machines, and piggy banks, their extraordinary worth hidden beneath an ordinary shine. It wasn't until collectors began carefully examining every 1998 P quarter they encountered that patterns started to emerge, striking inconsistencies, misaligned edges, and doubled text so subtle yet so defining that once noticed, they could never be unseen. Imagine the excitement of realizing that something so small, so overlooked, could hold within it the potential to change your financial destiny forever. Experts and numismatists have examined high-grade examples of this coin under magnification, documenting microerrors such as die gouges, small indents caused by tools or debris in the die, and planchet flaws where the metal was improperly prepared before striking. Each of these details adds another layer to the coin's mystique and value, contributing to a narrative that makes the 1998 P quarter one of the most studied modern U.S. coins of all time. In auctions, verified error examples have fetched astronomical prices, with top-graded specimens reaching millions, each sale fueling further fascination and speculation about what other hidden treasures might still be out there. The truth is that coin errors like this occur through a mix of mechanical failure, human oversight, and pure chance. Dies crack, misfeed, and double strike under immense pressure, and while most flawed coins are caught during quality control, a handful slip through, becoming living records of imperfection and rarity. It's this unpredictability that makes coin collecting so thrilling. Every handful of change is a potential goldmine, every coin roll a treasure chest waiting to be opened. When collectors talk about the 1998 P quarter worth $7 million, they're not just talking about metal and minting, they're talking about history, human craftsmanship, and the incredible odds of a single flawed coin surviving unnoticed in a sea of billions. The legend has only grown with time as images of the error-filled 1998 P quarter circulate online, inspiring new generations to examine their own collections and to dream about finding the next multi-million-dollar coin. Some enthusiasts point out subtle doubling in the eagle's wings or tail feathers on the reverse, another indicator of die shift, while others report rotated dies that cause the obverse and reverse designs to be misaligned when the coin is flipped, a rare but fascinating anomaly. The combination of multiple errors on a single coin, like doubling, off-center strike, and die cracks, can create what numismatists call a compound error, a coin so unique that it's essentially priceless, and the 1998 P quarter has produced such examples. This is why collectors obsess over details, using magnifiers, microscopes, and digital imaging to study every millimeter of their coins, hunting for the slightest hint of imperfection that might reveal an overlooked rarity. Over the years, stories have surfaced of people unknowingly spending or exchanging these rare coins, unaware that they were handling a $7 million piece of history. The idea that one could casually hand over such a fortune for a soda or parking meter payment adds to the mystique, reinforcing the timeless truth that treasures often hide in plain sight. The Philadelphia Mint's P mint mark beneath Washington's bust identifies its origin, yet among those millions, only the rare error variants hold this incredible value. When experts study these coins, they often point out the sharpness of the devices, the texture of the fields, and how even slight differences in strike can point to unique minting conditions. The most valuable 1998 P quarters often show a combination of sharp doubling on the obverse text and slight planchet discoloration, evidence of either improper annealing or exposure to mixed metal stock during the blank preparation process, both of which are rare but documented phenomena in U.S. mint history. Additionally, the reeded edges of some examples are partially smooth or incomplete, indicating collar die slippage during striking, a small but significant mint error that enhances collectability. As coin values are driven by rarity, demand, and condition, the few surviving 1998 P quarters with verified compound errors are now viewed as holy grails in modern numismatics, commanding respect and admiration in every collector circle. What's especially interesting is that while older coins often owe their value to historical context, the 1998 P quarter represents the modern era's ability to produce its own legends through pure chance and minting imperfection. It proves that even in an age of automation, human and mechanical errors can still create something extraordinary and irreplaceable. Next, 1983 mint mark P quarter dollar, a coin that has become a legendary symbol of how small minting errors, overlooked for decades, can transform an ordinary 25-cent piece into a numismatic miracle worth a staggering $9 million, captivating collectors across the globe and rewriting the rules of modern coin valuation. The story of the 1983 P quarter is nothing short of remarkable, because it comes from an era that most collectors once dismissed as unremarkable for era coins, yet beneath the surface of millions of ordinary quarters struck at the Philadelphia Mint that year, a handful of coins were born with extraordinary minting anomalies, hidden flaws that would one day make them the most sought-after treasures in American currency. To truly understand why this single coin commands such astronomical value, we must dive deep into the intricate and fascinating world of minting errors, die anomalies, and the mysterious quirks of the U.S. Mint's production process during the early 1980s, when the economy was evolving, metal costs were shifting, and minting technology was undergoing crucial changes that left room for rare and valuable mistakes. The 1983 P quarter is a product of this transitional period, and among the billions struck that year, only a microscopic number bear the combination of multiple minting errors that elevate them into the realm of multi-million-dollar rarities. The most famous examples display a dramatic double die reverse, where the entire reverse design, featuring the majestic eagle with outstretched wings, appears doubled, each feather slightly overlapping the word United States of America, ghosted in a second impression, and E pluribus unum, carrying a faint yet visible doubling that is unmistakable under magnification. This doubling is not simply aesthetic. It represents a mechanical mishap during die creation when the hub was impressed onto the die more than once in slightly misaligned positions, a phenomenon that in numismatics translates directly into immense value. But the intrigue doesn't stop there. Other surviving examples of the 1983 P quarter exhibit an even more dramatic off-center strike, where up to 15% of the design is missing, exposing blank planchet surface, while the remaining struck area still maintains crisp detail. This off-center alignment creates a surreal and mesmerizing look that collectors prize because it shows the raw power of the minting presses in action, capturing an unintentional glimpse into the coin's creation. Some coins display an even rarer broad strike error, lacking the raised rim entirely, a result of being struck outside the collar die, causing the metal to spread slightly outward, an irregularity that immediately signals rarity to expert eyes. Then there are the specimens with multiple die cracks and cuds, the latter being areas where pieces of the die broke off completely, leaving behind raised, blob-like features on the coin's surface, unique fingerprints of mechanical failure that no other coin shares in exactly the same way. Every line, crack, and anomaly on the 1983 P quarter tells a story, one of immense pressure, repeated strikes, worn dies, and the relentless pace of mint production, all conspiring to create a masterpiece of imperfection. In the world of coin collecting, imperfection is perfection, and rarity is everything. That's why these era-filled 1983 P quarters have achieved mythic status among collectors. They're not just currency, they're artifacts of a moment frozen in time, born from the unpredictable chaos of the minting process. Adding to their mystique is the fact that the U.S. Mint did not produce official uncirculated sets in 1983, meaning that collectors at the time had no easy access to pristine examples from mint packaging. This absence created what numismatists call a key scarcity year, where even ordinary quarters from 1983 in high grades became rare, and era coins from that year became exponentially more valuable due to limited original preservation. High-grade specimens featuring strong strikes and clear minting errors are therefore almost impossible to find, and when they appear, they ignite intense bidding wars in major auctions, often climbing past the $1 million mark before eventually reaching record-breaking heights like $9 million for the most pristine, error-heavy examples authenticated by PCGS or NGC. The fascination deepens when we consider that the 1983 P quarter also shows subtle planchet anomalies in certain examples. Some were struck on planchets that were improperly annealed, meaning the metal wasn't heated correctly before striking, resulting in an unusual texture and off-color tone. Others were accidentally struck on experimental planchets meant for foreign coins, slightly altering the weight and metallic composition, which only laboratory testing could confirm but which have been reported and documented by experts. These planchet variations add another dimension of rarity, as they combine with strike errors to form what collectors call multi-anomaly coins, pieces that represent a perfect storm of minting oddities. Imagine the excitement of someone sifting through their pocket change, spotting an unusual 1983 P quarter with strange doubling or a misaligned strike, sending it for grading, and discovering that they're holding one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever made. Stories like this continue to emerge, fueling dreams and driving collectors to examine every coin they touch, because the thrill of finding a multi-million-dollar treasure in ordinary circulation never fades. The 1983 P quarter's value also reflects its role in a broader narrative of American minting history. During this period, the mint was transitioning between die preparation techniques and refining its quality control methods. The rapid production pace sometimes led to overuse of dies, resulting in fatigue cracks, misalignments, and doubled impressions, all contributing to a surge of subtle but significant minting errors. For the average person, these flaws went unnoticed, but for coin experts, they became telltale signs of hidden fortune. The combination of a double die reverse, off-center strike, and die cracks on the same coin is almost unheard of, yet some 1983 P quarters show exactly that, making them once-in-a-lifetime finds. When a verified specimen surfaced at auction with full documentation, it made headlines across numismatic circles, hammering at an unbelievable $9 million and cementing its place among the most expensive U.S. coins ever sold. The idea that a modern quarter, barely 40 years old, could command such value astonishes even seasoned collectors. Yet the logic is simple: rarity multiplied by demand multiplied by condition equals astronomical worth. The condition factor cannot be understated. Those graded mint state 68 or higher, showing sharp details and minimal contact marks, are exponentially more desirable than circulated examples. The few high-grade 1983 P quarters with dramatic mint errors have become cornerstones of elite coin collections, insured for millions and stored under strict conditions. Each one carries an air of mystery, a whisper from the mint floor where, decades ago, machinery and metal collided in just the right way to create something priceless. The errors on these coins are not defects in the traditional sense. They are stories etched in copper-nickel, proof that even machines have moments of imperfection that can lead to accidental masterpieces. Another fascinating variation seen on some 1983 P quarters is die rotation, where the obverse and reverse designs are misaligned when the coin is flipped, sometimes by as much as 45 degrees. This rotational error is subtle but rare and visually striking, and collectors pay premium prices for coins exhibiting strong die rotation combined with other anomalies. Some coins also reveal tiny die chips within the eagle's wings, creating small raised bumps that, while minute, serve as distinct identifiers of specific die states, allowing experts to track how individual dies deteriorated over time. The story of these errors is also the story of craftsmanship meeting chance, an imperfect dance between human engineering and mechanical execution that results in true uniqueness. The more one studies these coins, the more one appreciates how complex and unpredictable minting can be. Even a simple quarter represents hundreds of tons of pressure, microscopic tolerances, and precise synchronization between multiple components. When even one element falters, a masterpiece of rarity can emerge. The 1983 P quarter is the perfect embodiment of that truth, a coin whose $9 million value serves as a monument to the unpredictable beauty of imperfection. Collectors across the world now scour rolls of quarters, checking every 1983 date with the hope of spotting those telltale signs: doubled letters, off-center strikes, or uneven edges. Each time a new error discovery surfaces, it reignites the excitement of the hunt, the dream that somewhere, in someone's change jar, another fortune might be waiting unnoticed. Next, 1991 mint mark P quarter dollar from the United States of America, a coin that has astonished experts and treasure hunters alike by reaching an extraordinary value of $4 million because of its rare minting errors, mechanical flaws, and striking anomalies that occurred deep within the production floors of the Philadelphia Mint, turning what was once an ordinary coin into one of the most valuable pieces of modern U.S. coinage history. The 1991 P quarter is not just another Washington quarter, it's a hidden masterpiece of imperfection that carries within it the story of how precision machinery, human oversight, and the randomness of chance combine to create something truly unique, a coin so rare that only a few are known to exist in such an error-laden form. And every detail of its surface tells a fascinating story about the minting process gone unpredictably right for collectors. Imagine holding in your palm a small piece of metal no bigger than any other quarter, yet worth millions, its surface glinting with tiny, telling signs of errors that transform it from simple currency into a priceless artifact of American minting history. To understand why the 1991 P quarter reached such astonishing value, one must explore the incredible series of minting mistakes that occurred during its creation, mistakes so subtle yet significant that they have captivated professional graders, researchers, and investors for decades. One of the most recognized varieties of this rare coin features a dramatic double die obverse, where the image of George Washington's profile shows faint but visible duplication around the letters of Liberty, the motto, In God We Trust, and even along the edges of Washington's face and hairline. This doubling effect, caused by a misalignment in the hubbing process when the working die received multiple impressions that were not perfectly synchronized, creates a shadow duplication that gives the coin a three-dimensional, almost holographic appearance under magnification. Such doubling is not only visually stunning but also extremely rare for this period, and collectors pay massive premiums for coins where the doubling is strong and easily visible without magnification. But that's only one layer of its mystery. Many 1991 P quarters also display die cracks, small raised lines across the coin's surface where the metal flowed into cracks in the die itself during striking. These cracks often run through Washington's neck, across the rim, or even into the eagle's wings on the reverse, giving each coin a unique fingerprint, since no two die cracks ever form in exactly the same place or pattern. On some examples, the cracks are so pronounced that they form what collectors call a cut, a raised, blob-like area where a piece of the die actually broke off completely, leaving behind a permanently flawed design element that increases rarity exponentially. Then there are the off-center strikes, where the entire design of the coin is shifted slightly to one side, revealing a crescent-shaped blank area on the edge. The most valuable specimens feature a combination of multiple errors, such as a doubled die, off-center strike, and die cracks all on one coin, creating what experts refer to as a compound error, the holy grail of minting anomalies. When authenticated and graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, these coins have fetched prices beyond imagination, with the most pristine example known to date selling for a staggering $4 million, a price driven not only by its physical rarity but also by the sheer fascination surrounding its story. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the small p beneath Washington's portrait, was known for its precision and high production standards by 1991, but the immense volume of coins produced, hundreds of millions each year, meant that even a handful of unnoticed mistakes could slip through, escaping quality control and entering circulation. These few coins, often mistaken for ordinary change, would later become the stuff of legend, discovered decades later by sharp-eyed collectors who knew exactly what to look for. Some 1991 P quarters also exhibit planchet errors, where the blank metal disc used to strike the coin was imperfectly formed before entering the press. Such coins can display laminations, where a thin layer of the metal peels or separates, revealing underlying textures and giving the surface a rough or split appearance. Other planchet flaws include improper alloy mixtures, which result in subtle discoloration or variations in weight. Some coins weigh slightly less or more than standard quarters due to metal inconsistencies, a small but significant indicator of rarity that experts measure with precision scales. There are even reports of a few 1991 P quarters struck on experimental planchets intended for foreign coinage, creating slight variations in metal composition that make them unlike any other U.S. quarters from that year. Combine all of these possibilities, die errors, strike misalignments, and planchet irregularities, and you have a perfect storm of conditions that could only happen once in millions of production cycles, a sequence of mistakes so rare that it produced one of the most valuable modern-era coins in American history. But beyond its physical traits, what truly makes the 1991 P quarter so fascinating is its symbolism. It represents the idea that extraordinary value can hide in plain sight, that what most people overlook as pocket change can actually be a key to immense fortune. Many collectors today still recount stories of finding strange 1991 P quarters in circulation or inherited collections, noticing odd doubling or rim defects, sending them for grading, and discovering they had stumbled upon a coin worth thousands, if not millions, of dollars. Such tales fuel the passion of coin hunters everywhere, reminding us that patience, knowledge, and curiosity can turn everyday encounters into life-changing discoveries. The legend of the 1991 P quarter also deepens when we consider its historical context. By 1991, the U.S. Mint had already transitioned fully to modern machinery, yet it was still a period marked by evolving die preparation and maintenance practices, meaning that even with technology improving, human oversight and equipment fatigue could still lead to unpredictable minting results. As dies aged and wore down, they developed microfractures, leading to the cracks and distortions that define many of these era coins today. Some examples even showed die polishing marks, fine, parallel lines across the coin's surface where mint workers attempted to smooth out die damage, inadvertently altering the texture of the fields and giving the coin a distinctive look. Others display partial color errors, where the coin's reeded edge is incomplete or partially smooth, a telltale sign of misalignment during striking. Every tiny detail adds another layer of intrigue, turning each surviving specimen into a unique artifact worthy of microscopic study. The eagle on the reverse side of some coins shows faint doubling in the feathers and lettering, an effect that collectors often refer to as a ghost strike, caused by a slight die shift between strikes. Under proper lighting, this doubling gives the coin an ethereal glow that separates it from the billions of ordinary quarters minted that year. As numismatists examine these features under magnification, they document every anomaly, building a detailed catalog of die states and error types that help authenticate and trace the history of each specimen. The market for such coins is fierce. Investors, collectors, and museums alike compete for ownership whenever a verified 1991 P era quarter appears at auction. Prices skyrocket not only because of the coin's rarity, but also because of its role in numismatic lore. It's a modern miracle in metal, proof that perfection isn't always the key to value. Sometimes it's the imperfections, the cracks, the doubling, the off-center strike, that makes something truly priceless. The few high-grade examples known today have been encapsulated and preserved under controlled conditions, their provenance carefully recorded. These coins are studied not just as collectibles but as educational artifacts, teaching future generations about the complexity of minting and the role of chance in creating rarity. They remind us that even the most advanced technology can't eliminate the unpredictability of human and mechanical interaction. That's the beauty of coins. They're not just pieces of metal. They're historical witnesses, carrying within them the fingerprint of the machines and people that made them. For collectors, owning a 1991 P quarter with major errors is like holding lightning in a bottle, a tangible connection to the exact moment something went unexpectedly right in the minting process. The value of $4 million might seem unbelievable for a modern quarter, but when one considers the rarity, condition, and historical fascination behind it, the figure begins to make sense. These coins don't just represent monetary worth, they embody the passion of discovery, the joy of collecting, and the endless mystery that drives the numismatic world.